This is the Patriots Catch-22 podcast with Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
I'm Evan Lazar. Evan Lazar. Hello, everybody. Nailed it. Joined as always by our Barth. That's a fit. That's a match. No risk it, no biscuit.
22.
Here is Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
This is a social media offense.
22.
They do all these fancy motions and dipsy-doos and, we're going to have 4 receivers on one side of the formation and go 4 strong, and we're going to motion Bijan. He's going to start outside, then he's going to motion inside, and he's going to motion back outside, then he's going to motion into the pistol, and then we're going to hand him the ball. But then sometimes we're going to throw him a screen, and we're just doing all this different stuff. And all these defenses are just letting the Falcons offense go into a blender, and then they're just sorting it out after the snap. You're doing all this fancy stuff for no reason.
No wonder the Dolphins cooked them. They're used to seeing that in practice every day.
It's different.
I almost snuck that one by you. I came this close. I almost snuck that by you.
You did. Good for you. Good job. Good job by you on that one. Well, I want to give the Falcons a tiny bit of flowers in this game. Mainly just Drake London. Drake London was
awesome.
Was very, very good in this game. But I feel like that take kind of, that's kind of how it unfolded, to be honest with you. In particular, and I didn't want to start here, but just in particular, the Falcons being allergic to the middle of the field just completely held up. And I don't know if that's a Zach Robinson thing. I don't know if that's a Penix thing. I don't know if it's both. But it is pretty funny to watch an offense that literally will only throw the ball outside the numbers. It's down the field or it's outside the numbers. All right. Anyways, we'll get to more Falcons here in a second. I do want to start trade deadline or the trade deadline that wasn't very deadline-y or eventful for the Patriots. We're going to start there.
It was an NFL trade deadline.
And then we're going to do some Falcons recap. We'll talk a little bit about this Bucs game. Hopefully we get some time in to talk about the Bucs, because I do think this is a really interesting matchup for Drake Maye against a really blitz-heavy, pressure-heavy, good Tampa defense. So I'm looking forward to that on Sunday. But let's start trade deadline. It's Evan Lazar. It's Alex Barth. It's Alex behind the glass. And we are going to be with you for the next couple hours here. And I understand, I sigh before I'm about to give this take, because I understand the angst. I understand why Patriots fans are upset that the Patriots stood pat at the deadline and didn't make a trade. First of all, we all like trades. We all like when our teams make moves. It's just fun. It's fun to go and see, you go on Twitter. I get the notifications. I'm sure other people do. Adam Schefter, Patriots traded for player X. Ooh, it's exciting. I get it. It's a dopamine hit. It's also a team that I think we can all identify is a little bit thin in certain areas, because this is truly, as Mike Vrabel likes to say, this is year one. They've only had one full offseason with this regime, with this coaching staff, to build up the roster. So they got some frontline players in here this offseason. All of those guys, for the most part, have contributed to 7-2. They deserve credit for that. But in order to continue to build, they are going to need a couple of years to build out not only just the depth, but I would also say like the youth of the roster and the homegrown players on the roster. So I get why everybody is frustrated, but I will say this for the Patriots, and this is not a carry the water take. This is not propaganda. I said this last week on PU, and I got into an argument with Fred, and mostly Fred, a little bit of Paul, about the Washington Commanders. And the Washington Commanders going all in on what I kind of felt like was a little bit of fool's gold last year. So the Commanders at the trade deadline, they trade for Marshawn Lattimore. They traded 3 picks for Marshawn Lattimore. That trade has not worked out. He has not been very good in Washington. And now they don't have those picks moving forward to keep drafting and keep building around Jaden Daniels. So I commend the Patriots for still sticking to the plan and still understanding that even though they are 7-2 right now and things look like they're wide open in the AFC, they are understanding that they might not be quite as good as their record indicates. The quarterback has broken out. The schedule has been favorable, and they've won a lot of games early in the season, and they deserve a ton of credit for that. But you have a long-term vision here. And I think giving up draft capital, and I also, just to add to this, they are not going to trade with the Jets. like Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner were not coming
and more
here.
importantly, the Jets were not going to trade with them.
Right, well, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like that, the Patriots were not going to be able to be in on Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. So when it comes to, maybe like a Jalen Phillips, I don't know if the Dolphins would have traded with them either, but maybe a Jalen Phillips, who is a 3rd-round pick for a rental pass rusher. That would have been, 8 games you're paying for Jalen Phillips, a 3rd-round pick. Rashid Shaheed, which is essentially a 4th and a 6th, is basically like a low 3rd. So you're giving up another probably 3rd or 4th-round pick at least for Rashid Shaheed. Like, those players are rentals. Those guys are going to be on expiring contracts. They're going to be up at the end of the year. And I am in favor of the Patriots not making those kinds of trades, because I don't think that they should be investing, top 100 draft capital just yet in this roster. I think that they need to still draft and develop. I think they need to keep those picks, because in the offseason, more players are available. Yep. That might be bigger names, that might be more helpful to their team. So that was one element of it.
Let me just cut and
yeah, go ahead.
Saying hold on, and I differ on you slightly on that. I'll let you finish, but like saying hold on to the picks doesn't mean they have to make all 11 picks. It can also imply, trade those picks when the market's more robust down the road.
Exactly. The other thing that I would say about this, and they're in the defense of not doing anything, the vibes in the Patriots locker room right now are immaculate. They have great team chemistry. They are buying in. You see it. You guys see it. We post all these videos, these post-game locker room videos, all these different things of how this team is responding to Mike Vrabel, how this team is responding to each other, the brotherhood that's building in that locker room. So if you go out and you start adding, even if you want to argue these are marginal upgrades, Jalen Phillips, Rashid Shaheed, players like that are marginal upgrades over the guys you currently have on the roster. Well, now you need to start taking players off the field that have contributed to you to a 7-2 start. So if you trade for Jalen Phillips, that means that Kayvon Chason is probably not playing as much anymore. If you trade for Rashid Shaheed, that probably means Pop Douglas, who just had his first 100-yard game, is not playing as much anymore. And neither one of those guys have done anything wrong. Chason's been on a little bit of a heater. Pop just had a career game last week. And so I think that there was an element of how much better is this truly going to make us in the short term? And is that worth sacrificing, potentially changing up the juju in the locker room, the chemistry, the vibes in the locker room? So again, if you're frustrated, I get it. It would have been nice to be able to talk about and write about and break down film on a new Patriot trade. I want to go over some of the names that were dealt and whether we would have or wouldn't have and that sort of thing. But my big picture takeaway from this trade deadline from the Patriots is that I think that they're trying to build a sustainable winner, and going for it this year by investing in rentals and things like that. Yes, it could have worked, and they could have had a Commanders-like run and gone to the AFC Championship game, and that would have looked great. But would it have been the right thing for the long term? They probably decided no, and I can understand their thinking. What's just your big picture takeaway here on the deadline?
So I never thought they were getting a starting caliber player, just because those guys don't move at the trade deadline. Like we can get into the Sauce Gardner deal a little bit. And so, like, it's Haley's Comet that you get a deal like that at the trade deadline. I was using the Von Miller trade as a comp last week. That was, 2021, 2022. So you really don't see moves like that. But, I was a little surprised they didn't add depth on the edge, depth at running back. I'll throw depth at safety in there, but outside of Kyle Duggar, no safeties moved. So I don't know that there was a market there for them to do that. Like, it takes two to
Gilman
tango.
moved.
So there was one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, those are some spots that now you look at, and I don't want to say they're outright thin, but it's kind of like we talked about when they cut Jabril Peppers at the start of the season. You're putting rookies or young players who are unproven, and you're potentially front-facing them, right? They need a fourth edge guy. You kind of use 4 over the course of a game. So that's either going to be Elijah Ponder, who's the guy, Caleb Murphy, or Braden Swinson coming up from the practice squad. Like, one of those 3 guys now is going to be an increased role. And maybe they looked at it and said, we could trade a 6th for whoever, name a backup edge rusher, or we have these young players. We want to see what they can do. We're going to create a role for them. We're going to create an opportunity for them. It's safety, Richie Grant, John Saunders. Does it open up a role for those guys? Running back is a little different because some of the guys that you would put in that category are already playing, right? Terrell Jennings, because of the injuries. If Ramondre's good and that was just a 1-week injury and he's back, then it makes a little more sense. If Ramondre, and we don't know, we'll see if he's at practice today. If Ramondre's banged up, then maybe there's a little more to that. So, if somebody gets hurt now, they are going to be in a spot where you look at it and you say, well, they, maybe could have used a body there. But just like, when they cut Jabril Peppers, my big take was, well, Craig Woodson, you're in the spotlight. They got to really believe in Craig Woodson to fill this role, and he's an unknown. He was a 3rd round or 4th round pick, like they clearly liked him, but just we hadn't seen him in the NFL. So I think you might see some of those guys. And you know what? If Elijah Ponder or Braden Swinson or Caleb Murphy step up and play solid, they're going to look really smart. If not, it's going to be a second guess. But I was a little surprised they didn't add more depth. But I wonder if this is a continued case. And Mike Vrabel talked about it last week. Even though they're 7-2, this is a multi-year install of the program. I wonder if they looked at it and said, we have these young guys. We invested a draft pick in Braden Swinson. Elijah Ponder showed us a lot in the summer, and he's played a little bit here in NFL games. They go out, they sign Caleb Murphy off waivers, guys that they clearly have an interest in. Let's get an opportunity to get these guys on the field, start developing them, and see what we're working with.
So, couple of things there. One, I wanted to name some names that actually did get traded. And I understand that you could make the argument that we'll make them an offer that you can't refuse and just get the player, right? But
right.
You mentioned running back. There were no running back trades.
Yeah.
Not a single running back move.
I won't lie. I got my hopes up a little bit. I did wonder if there was an element of, all right, the Jets want a 3rd for Breece Hall. Nobody's offering that. Could like a 4th and a 6th get it done? But again, they weren't going to trade him in the division. So that was
Breece Hall doesn't get traded.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard didn't get traded.
Nope.
None of Tajay Spears, Jerome Ford, like none of these guys that we talked about that were sort of depth running backs elsewhere that might have.
The only running back who got dealt, and I think it was like a week ago. Schefter has the full list. I'll pull it up. I can't remember who it was now. There was one running back who got dealt like a week ago.
Was there? I went through the list. I didn't see any running back.
It was Michael Carter.
Michael Carter's a corner.
Oh, there's 2 Michael Carters. That's right.
Yeah, Michael Carter's slot corner. So
okay, so no running backs.
No running backs.
That's on me. Hand up.
No running backs got traded. So again, I get you could make the argument that if the Jets are asking for a 3rd for Breece Hall and they would have traded him to the Patriots, and this is theoretically right and hypothetical, then just give the 3rd. Like if you feel that way, you feel that way. But nobody wanted to give the 3rd for Breece Hall unless he would have gotten traded. So Kansas City, I think there was reporting out there, they offered a 4th. The Jets wouldn't take it.
Right.
So Breece Hall stays put. Pollard stays put. No running backs were traded. So it's hard for me to sit here and second guess, well, why didn't you trade for a running back when nobody traded for a running back? None of the guys moved. At edge rusher, more guys moved, and I think there's more of a case here. Obviously, we've already talked about
this
Jalen
is
Phillips.
the one for me that, like, if you're going to make a case, this is it.
Yeah, so we already talked about Jalen Phillips. Joe Tyrone Shoyinka moved. That player, weird stuff. Like, I thought he was, like, having a really good start in Tampa. I remember them playing Tampa with Brady. It was, 21?
Yeah.
And he had a great game and was looking good as a rusher. Then he fizzles out in Tampa, goes to Cleveland, doesn't really catch on there, gets traded by the Browns. Drummond Jones got traded by Tennessee. Now, he did not overlap with Vrabel in Tennessee. So it's not a Vrabel player, but
a guy that
was a tight end.
Theoretically would have been a fit.
Yep. I agree. And Adofe Awe got traded like a week ago. So that's another edge rusher. Jermont Jones, I think, is probably the one that if you were looking for that third guy, right, that fit the mold and maybe is a little bit more pass rush juice than like Anthony Jennings, that was probably the one trade that they could have made. And I think that it was like a 5th or a 6th for Jermont Jones. But, at the end of the day, that list is not, outside of Jalen Phillips, who I already wouldn't necessarily have traded a third for Jalen Phillips, and I don't know if the Dolphins would have traded him here to begin with. It's not exactly a star-studded group, and I would just say, like, the other thing, too, with the edge rushers, a year ago this time, we were all pretty high on Anthony Jennings.
Yeah.
Anthony Jennings is still here. Now, I get that he's not a pass rusher. He's not a third-down player. I get that. But it's not like they have no NFL bodies behind Chason and Landry. They just don't have their guy, right? They don't have a guy that fits their mold. But if they had to lean more on Anthony Jennings, at least on first and second down, they could. Like, I don't think he's a terrible player.
I think he can play on early downs. It's that I think that third pass rush spot's going to be situational. It's Jennings on early downs, another guy on passing downs. I think it's the opposite. You said they have an NFL guy. They don't have their guy. Is that what you said?
Yes.
I think it's kind of the opposite. They have a couple of their guys, whether it's Ponder or Swinson. We just don't know what there is NFL players. We haven't seen it.
I just don't know if those guys are. You can't count on a UDFA.
No, and that's the risk you take here. We don't know, but again, I go back to like Craig Woodson. They cut Jabril Peppers, and it's a little different because Craig Woodson was starting. We're talking about a depth at most rotational role here, but I wonder if there's an element of they just feel good about the players they have and why give up a draft pick when, we used a 5th round pick on Swinson, or we like what Elijah Ponder showed us this summer, and you're not going to bury those guys forever, right? They got to be here for a reason. And maybe they just figure we've invested in these guys. We're gonna push them up into a bigger role.
Okay, so last thing on the trade deadline, because I know I'm gonna take heat for defending them on the trade deadline. I don't care. I said it last week with the Commanders. Like, the Commanders were in the exact same position the Patriots were in. They had a really good free agency class. Their quarterback hit, and they were won 12 games and made it to the NFC Championship game. And they've taken a step back now. It's a lot of it's because Daniels is hurt. I'll concede that point. But at the same time, I didn't love what they were doing roster-wise, like trading picks for Deebo Samuel, trading picks for Marshawn Lattimore, trading picks for older players that I thought were a little bit over the hill and weren't necessarily going to help them in the long run. The Patriots are doing it differently, and we'll see who ends up being the more sustainable team, moving forward. It's a very similar situation. Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, Jaden Daniels, Drake Maye. Like, it's really kind of a carbon copy of one another, and we'll see which approach ends up working. Before we move on to the game, the Falcons game and stuff, I do want to talk a little bit about the Jets and what they did yesterday.
How about the New York Jets?
So
I think the Jets won the deadline.
I agree. And I've been talking about this with the Jets for a couple years now because maybe this is just a little bit of the Patriots fan that's still in me, but I kept on hearing with the Jets, especially when Rodgers got there, how great their roster was and how their roster was loaded and all they needed was a quarterback and they were a quarterback away and this, that, and the other thing. And at some point, that loaded roster had to start winning games, right? Like you can't every year tell me how loaded your roster is, and then I look at the end of the year, I look at the standings, and you won 6 games. Like, at some point, the roster is the roster. Like, you are what you are, as Bill Parcells would say, right? So I looked at this roster, and everybody kept on telling me how loaded they were defensively. They haven't played a game yet without Quinnen and Sauce Gardner. They're 30th in DVOA on defense this year. They're one of the worst defenses in football. They were one of the worst defenses in football last year, too. So they haven't been a good defense really for 2 years now. And yet I keep getting told that Sauce Gardner is this all-pro caliber corner and Quinnen Williams is this all-pro caliber for defensive tackle. And we can talk about coaching and system and all that, but Robert Saleh has left New York and he has gone to San Francisco and he's got that defense playing pretty well with the 49ers. So maybe he couldn't head coach, but he could definitely coach defense. And I'd say the same thing about Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn was a great defensive coordinator for Detroit. Maybe he's not a head coach, but he can coach defense. So I actually really liked what the Jets did because I think the Jets looked at it and said, this core that everybody keeps hyping as this really talented core has one jack. So how much longer are we going to sit here and say that we have all this talent on our roster and act like Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams and, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and all these young players that we have that we're really high on? How long are we going to act like this team is loaded and then go out there and start the season 1-7? The other thing that I really like about what the Jets did, now I'll put this caveat in there. It's the Jets. Yeah. So they're going to F it up.
Well, so I see where you're going. I have a take on this. Keep going.
They are loaded with first-round picks for a quarterback.
Yeah.
So whether they want to draft
for 2 years,
whether they want to draft the quarterback, or they want to trade for a veteran quarterback, they have all this ammo. And the Jets, just kind of wrapped up this take. They were going nowhere with this core.
Yeah.
And they were going nowhere without a quarterback. So what they've done is they've put themselves in position to restock the core and probably get a quarterback. Now it's the Jets, so they'll screw it up. They'll find a way to mess it up.
So somebody pointed out like they had a similar setup. I think in 2021, it was after they traded
Darnold,
Jamal Adams.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then remember they got some firsts for him, and they obviously that didn't work. But yeah, in classic Jets fashion, so they're in terrific position now to add a quarterback. The next 2 drafts, quarterback-wise, are Like, there's some guys, some people might like. It's not 2024, where it's, okay, well, there's Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Jaden Daniels emerges, right? This year's draft definitely isn't that. Some people really like Fernando Mendoza, and there's a lot to like.
Yeah.
Some people like Dante Moore. There's a lot to like, but those guys
they're trading for a quarterback.
Those guys don't have the pedigree that you expect from the typical top draft picks. And then depending on who comes out and who goes to school, 2027, Julian Sains looked good at Ohio State. He's a ways away.
They're not drafting a quarterback.
But they're the Jets.
They're not drafting a quarterback.
But they're the Jets.
They're not drafting a quarterback.
But drafting the quarterback might be the wrong move based on how these
classes
classes
yesterday
look.
Nothing was going to happen at the deadline, so I'm not really on a great run right now with takes. But I'm telling you, they're not going to draft a quarterback.
Screw it up.
I would be Woody Johnson has drafted Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson and watch it blow up in his face.
Yeah.
And I would adding to that, Aaron Glenn was in Detroit. They just traded for Jared Goff and had that really work out. I just look at it and I don't know which quarterback it's going to be. But the reclamation project is in vogue. Now they're trying it like sort of like a C+ version of it with Justin Fields, and it's not going so hot.
Right, you actually have to fix the quarterback.
But you also need to trade for a quarterback that's better than Justin Fields.
So who's been like benched recently? Who's on the outs? Who's a fringe starter?
I don't know. Maybe some guy in Arizona.
That would be. I could see it.
That's the way I look at it. Like as soon as Kyler got benched in Arizona, I actually thought there was a chance the Jets might trade for him now.
Interesting. Well, no, because they're clearly trying to bottom out.
Right. So, but then they ended up trading everybody.
So
right.
Kirk Cousins.
No.
And they have the money for it.
No.
Okay, but it's the Jets.
He's terrible. No.
Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray.
Yes.
Whatever these. Andy Dalton's probably too old to qualify for this.
Yeah.
Do the Jets try to make Joe Flacco work again?
No, too old.
Cleveland's got a whole bunch of quarterbacks that could be reclamation projects. Who else do we got?
It's Kyler.
Do the Jags quit on Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, that would be a crazy blockbuster.
That would be.
I don't think that's
Geno Smith's probably too old to qualify for this. Oh, I got a good one. Evan. Tua.
In the division?
Well, what if Miami cuts him?
Maybe.
Also, who cares in the division? If you're the Dolphins and the Jets offer you a first-round pick for Tua.
Yeah.
I'm going through the list of starting quarterbacks here, trying to figure out who the backups are. Russ Wilson, Jameis Winston.
We already have the answer.
Well, let's be thorough. Mac Jones or Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy's not bad.
Whoever comes out of there, Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy's not bad.
Niners want to unload that contract. Jets have all this money now. They traded.
That's a good one.
Okay. Seahawks don't really have anybody. Oh no, who's Seahawks backup? Drew Lock? No, Drew Lock doesn't qualify as that.
It's Purdy and Kyler are two good ones.
I'm putting Tua on there.
Okay,
I'm putting Tua on there.
So if we want to put those three, one of those three, if I had to venture a guess, one of those three will be a Jets quarterback next year.
Love it.
And
Love it.
I kind of like it. I'd love to see Kyler twice a year. He's not going to beat the Patriots, so it'd just be fun to watch.
You
him.
were a big Kyler guy.
I love Kyler. I still love him.
I got
him play.
one more good one from the YouTube chat here.
Okay.
Anthony Richardson.
No, we're not.
He is a reclamation project.
Not good enough. No, I'm talking about like Purdy's made a Super Bowl. He's a starting caliber quarterback. Kyler's a starting caliber quarterback. Tua's a starting caliber quarterback.
Richardson was top 5 pick. Maybe they don't trade a first-round pick for him, but what if they look at it and they say, all right, it's not a good quarterback draft. We're going to hammer all the other needs. And we're going to actually make the picks, hammer all the other needs, and then trade a second-round pick for Anthony Richardson.
A second-round pick for
Anthony? Or whatever it is, a fourth-round pick, whatever, blah, 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 not a first-round pick.
It's just Justin Fields all over again.
The Jets.
No.
The Jets.
I would venture to guess that they would go into the draft and screw up the draft pick again before they traded for like a true project like Anthony Richardson. If they're going to trade for a veteran quarterback, it's going to be an established veteran. The only difference between the Rodgers thing and this will be age. Like they'll try to trade for a younger, established veteran quarterback.
I'm still putting 2 on the list.
That's fine. I'm good for you, Jets. Like don't overvalue your players. Like the Colts are going for it. Good for them too. But 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner and a first and a second for Quinnen Williams. I'm making those trades.
How does Sauce fit in that defense to you?
Probably a little bit, like they're very disguise heavy. Like they do a lot of, Lou Anarumo is a big disguiser. I think the reason why, and I guess I can give this a little bit of a Sauce take here, but I do want to move on.
Well, no, this is relevant to the Patriots. Look, the Patriots and Colts are, everybody said Patriots didn't do anything. Other teams got better. There's some truth to that. I mean, the Bills didn't make a move. The Chiefs didn't make a move. The Texans didn't make a move. I mean, the Steelers made a minor move.
They traded for Kyle.
But this is the one team at the top that went for it. So it is relevant to the Patriots. And I think Sauce is a good player. He's going from like the least disguised defense to the most disguised defense. And that feels like an adjustment.
Yeah. Well, but I think it's an adjustment in his favor because here's my whole thing with Sauce. And I'll admit that this is maybe a little bit of Christian Gonzalez bias, but like Sauce is his own corner. Sauce plays his side of the field.
We've always been man over zone on this show, going back before Sauce or Gonzalez.
He plays on his side of the field.
Yeah.
He will man up on his side of the field on the backside on some occasions in their old system under Saleh, running the Mabel coverages like the Seattle used to do with Richard Sherman. But like it's a zone defense. It's a cover 3 defense. The defense that they're playing now with Aaron Glenn, I haven't looked at all the numbers, but just based off of what he did in Detroit and what I think he's doing with the Jets, they are a blitz man defense. So they are an aggressive blitz man defense. And I've just never thought that Sauce was a great man coverage corner. I'm not saying he can't play it at a decent clip. I'm just saying like he's not a Christian Gonzalez, Stephon Gilmore, Darrelle Revis. I'm going to shut down my guy man coverage corner. So I think going to Lou is probably better for him and with Indianapolis because it is more of a disguise zone. We're going to show this picture, change it, that sort of thing, which probably fits him. He's going to be able to play his side of the field. He's not going to be traveling with receivers and things like that. But I think that the crack started to show with Sauce once the Jets started to play more man coverage. They played a little bit more of it last year with Ulbrich and Saleh, and then they've played a lot more of it this year with Aaron Glenn. And that's just not his skill set. It's not what he's best at. He reminds me a lot more of the zone corners of the past than the man guys. So I think that it helps Sauce. I think it helps the Colts certainly because they were really needed corners.
Yeah, like they started thin there and they got banged up.
And they needed it.
Is Lenore going to be back this year? Not Lenore. Who's their corner that got hurt in the like pregame collision?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. He's on IR with a concussion, right?
Yeah, Travarius Ward.
Yeah, so I like it for the Colts and I like it for the Jets, I guess. We'll see. I'm not a big Sauce Gardner fan. I never have been. It's not my kind of player. But if he's used correctly, you have him play the boundary, just play his side of the field, have him man up on verticals and then play, zone coverages most of the time. I think he can be a good player. He is a good player.
How you feel being a quarterback or receiver in that division? You now got Sauce Gardner, You got Stingley in Houston.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter in
Like
Jacksonville.
Stingley, I think Stingley's awesome.
I love Stingley.
Stingley.
Well, that was that draft. Remember, that was the debate. Who was
we were early, but we were not wrong.
We were not wrong. But
yeah.
And then wait, who am I missing there? So you got Stingley, you got Travis Hunter, you got Sauce. Oh, the Titans.
Yeah.
They'll get some.
I mean, they have Snead, but he's
a little older.
He's kind of dogging it right now.
Well, they don't need a quarterback, so if they're at the top of the draft, and maybe they go corner up there.
So that's the trade deadline. I'm sure that you all have a lot of opinions on this trade deadline.
People were I don't remember people getting so worked up. It's the NFL. Like the NFL trade, and I'm somebody who loves all things NFL, all things football. This is me, right?
Yeah.
This is me who sits down appointment viewing Hall of Fame game. The NFL trade deadline to me, and it's getting. Look, I will respect it more when it becomes a bigger deal. And we've come a little bit of a ways. It used to be like 2 or 3 moves, 20 over the course of 2 months, or I should say a month and a half. There's a little bit more there, but it's not, you can't treat it like the baseball, basketball, hockey deadlines because it's different. It's fundamentally different. Getting a player in the loop mid-season, especially at certain positions in football, is just different than doing it in other sports.
There seems to be every trade deadline, and I meant to do this off the top of the show because I'm sure I'll get blawed to oblivion today. I said yesterday Jacoby Myers was going to be the biggest trade of the day, and then 30 minutes later, Sauce Gardner got traded. So I was dead wrong about that. Dead wrong. Mea culpa. I was wrong. It was more happened than I thought.
It's Halley's Comet. Like, that's, again, the last big one. Although, I forgot, Von Miller didn't even go for a first-round pick.
So I think
I was looking that up yesterday.
It seems like there's one team that will decide at this time of year that we're fire sailing. A couple years ago, it was Washington. They traded both their pass rushers, Chase Young. Is it Montez Sweat? I always forget which Sweat it is. They traded Montez Sweat and Chase Young at the deadline the year before they drafted Jaden Daniels. The Jets decided to fire sale this year. Like, there's always one team that decides to make a splash and trade a star player that you're not expecting. But it's just not like those other deadlines where there's like significant movement throughout the league. Like,
you don't have the landscape of the league change.
Right. And I still think you don't really have it even now. Like, Quentin Williams going to the Cowboys isn't going to really.
Why did the Cowboys do that?
Because Jerry's like obsessed with making the Micah Parsons trade look like it was the smart move.
I mean, look, well, credit to the Patriots. 2 strong defensive tackles. Is that like the it thing now? He's trying to recreate Barmore and Milton Williams with Kenny Clark and Kenny Clark and Quentin Williams. But
we'll get to that.
After losing that game to the Cardinals and giving up a first-round pick is wild.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit of Falcons. We'll try to be a little bit quicker through this since we did a lot of the trade deadline stuff off the top of the show.
Not that much to talk about from this game.
But I do want to talk a little bit of Drake Maye, and I do want to talk a little bit about the defense and what they did with the defense. So I think my big take with Drake Maye, and I know that he's Drake Maye. Like, we don't criticize Drake Maye now, right? That's our guy. That's our quarterback, right? You don't want to be. I get a lot of heat for criticizing Drake Maye. I think the biggest thing that I'm watching with Drake Maye over the last really since the started with the Tennessee game a little bit was just like the last final hurdle of his development. Like, he's throwing the ball great when he's throwing the football, when he's actually getting rid of the ball have been great, and I think his decisions of where he's throwing the ball when he throws the ball have been great. So that's still arrow way up. Like, he's still making every single week. This week, touchdown to Pop Douglas, the 58-yarder to Pop Douglas, the 21-yarder to Diggs in the second half, I thought was a great drive throw in between a couple zones. Like, he's still making 3 or 4 big time throws a game every single week. And he still basically played winning football in this game for the most part. 50.5 QBR. I had him basically with an even plus minus split in terms of, grading the film. So there's still a lot of good things that he's doing. He's still playing at a reasonably high level. But the last sort of mountain here for him to climb as a quarterback, I think, is managing time in the pocket. When to stay, when to go through his progressions, when to scramble, when to throw the ball away, when to just cover up and take the sack. Like, trying to figure out, and I think this is a byproduct of being a young athletic quarterback who still kind of thinks that he's the best athlete on the field all the time, which he might be, frankly, but he's got to figure out a little bit more, better how to manage his time in the pocket. And the sacks are starting to pile up. He's second in the league in sacks. He is the third highest sack rate in the league right now. Over 10% of his dropbacks end in a sack. So when you still, routinely, and to his credit, he gets them out of long down and distances better than any quarterback in the league. It's kind of uncanny how he can take a sack on first and second down and still move the chains is rare. But that's a tough way to live in the NFL. If you are constantly playing in third and long, eventually, more times than not, especially when you start to play against the better defenses, that type of stuff starts to creep up and bite you in the butt. When you're in third and long against, and Atlanta's a good defense, but when you're in third and long in the playoffs against Buffalo or Kansas City or Houston or one of these good defenses that's going to be in the AFC, Chargers, whatever, that's a lot different than when it's early November at home against Atlanta at a 1:00 game. So they have to, he has to cut down on how much time, he's got to make better decisions in the pocket. And I could go through examples I did yesterday on PU that we can discuss, but the whole point is just, it's not necessarily all the same of, okay, he's holding the ball too long or he's leaving. It's kind of both. Like it's just management in general of when is it clean pocket? When can I go 1, 2, 3 through a progression because I'm cleaning the pocket versus I have to get out in this instance because there's pressure here. So that's just my take on Drake Maye right now. I'm not alarmed. I'm not concerned. I don't have any big picture concerns about where he's at all. But this is something that we can point to and just say, as a second-year quarterback who's still technically developing, this is kind of his last hurdle. Is he can't be taking 6 sacks a game.
Yeah.
It's just too many.
So I do wonder if, and look, we had talked about the pace he was playing at was absurd. Like he was going to take a step back. And the reality is if that game represents his step back game, he's going to be fine. Got to do a better job of holding onto the football. The second fumble really is, he just gets bumped and lets go of it. The first one, I think maybe he got in a roll and he got a little bit comfortable. And he talked about this after the game. Some bad habits came back. Remember, he had a fumble like that last year. I think it was in London where he tried to stiff arm the defender off of him. Yeah. And fumbled the ball. Like it's almost a carbon copy if you go back and look at it. I do wonder if some of
the one in the preseason. This preseason.
That's right.
Yeah.
I do wonder if the higher sack rate and the lower turnover rate are related. And he talked about this in the past that he needs to know when to give up on the play and go down. And there are times when we're going to get on him for taking too many sacks, but at the same time, you can say that play at the end of the half, he should have taken the sack.
Right.
They blow the protection. He's dead to rights. Like go down or at least get outside, throw it away, but take the sack there.
Well, that's why I brought up managing time.
Right.
Like it's not necessarily about always getting rid of the ball quickly. It's just in that exact instance, the management there is just take the sack.
Right. So I do feel like and look, the offensive line's absolutely responsible for some of it. Especially the interior, we're starting to see them get picked on a little bit more here. Michael Nwenu's had a couple of rough games, going back the last month or so. But I do look at it and say, okay, well, he's taking more sacks. He's turning the ball over less. I do think those two things are related. Ideally, you're doing neither. This isn't necessarily defended. I just think that's part of the reason the sack number is so high is because he's doing a better job of not throwing these ridiculous mid-contact interceptions like he was doing at times last year. Now, to your point, managing the pocket, it's cutting both out and being better because there's also been times some of these sacks, he has, I think 2 or 3 of these this year, where he gets run out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And you can't do that as a quarterback. He
did in this game, and
he did.
I wanted to applaud. He threw a ball away.
He threw it away. Right.
The first time.
You want to buy that time. You want to buy time. You have as much time as there is for you to get from the pocket to the sideline. There's no reason. This is all quarterback. I ripped Tua for this. He did it against the Patriots in that game in week 2. There's no reason a quarterback should ever go out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Just because there's no grounding at that point. Just flick it forward, out of bounds, out of. And now look, he did this last year in Chicago. He didn't throw it far enough, and he got picked off. So you got to make sure you're getting it out there. It's not
when
the
he's
easiest
out,
thing.
When he's out outside the pocket, like the one on the ones that you're talking about, you can just chuck that thing. Like he's outside the pocket at that point.
That's what I'm saying. Well, you got to make sure you really chuck it. Remember, he tried it last year in Chicago.
Yeah, but that was like more towards inside the middle of the field.
That's fair. Like so that's one for me where like he can cut back is throw those away, or even he'll get dragged down way outside the pocket. Like just throw those away. He's got to be more comfortable throwing the ball away.
So I thought in this game, and this was similar to the game against Tennessee, I'm not saying that I think the term one read quarterback comes up and people get spooked by that. I'm not saying that he does this all the time. Like he definitely has evidence of going through the progressions and not being, a one and run quarterback. But there are instances on this film where it felt like he was one and run a little bit too often. He's looking down, at the right side at the initial, reading the progression. It's not there. And then his next instinct, instead of just progressing from, right to left to Stephon Diggs wide open in the middle of the field, his next instinct is eyes down running. And what I see a lot of his sacks happen, 2 or 3 in this game, and then probably 2 or 3 in the Titans game as well, is him running into the line of scrimmage because he's trying to get out of the pocket through the middle of the field, and the pocket collapses on him. So those sacks go down. And I know, a lot of people talk about this as well. Those sacks go down as like 2 or 3 yard sacks. They're not those back-breaking like 8 yard, 9 yard, 10 yard sacks. So it's like less of a burden, I suppose, on the offense. But I want to see him going through his progression, right? Like when he's looking down the right side at the initial read, it's not there. You want to see him come back to the middle of the field because that's the way the play is designed. So like he has, on the right-hand side, he's got Hunter Henry on a little option. It's not there. Stephon Diggs is going to come from the backside of the formation, and he's going to cross right into his line of vision from the backside of the formation because the goal is for him to just go from right to middle, right? So you're not asking him go right all the way to the left side of the field. You're just asking him to go from 1 to 2. And, there are times where he does that, and then there's times where he doesn't do it. And they just need to have him be a little bit more consistent with that because there are open receivers on the film on a lot of these sacks. And I'm not talking about the ones that are on the other side of the field. We're not playing Madden where you can just say, hey, X is open and spam the button. No, we're talking about actual quarterback play going through a progression as an NFL quarterback. So I just would like to see him do that a little bit more consistently. Again, throwing the ball great. There's 3 or 4 big time throws a game. He's still making big time plays. But that's just where I'm at with Drake Maye right now. And I think this is going to be an interesting game, moving forward with Tampa Bay because they're going to come after him. Like that's what Todd Bowles does. Yep. He's going to blitz the crap out of him. They're going to pressure him, and they're going to make him make those types of decisions all day long. Am I leaving? Am I staying? Is there pressure? Is there not pressure? Do I need to just go down and take a sack? Do I need to throw this ball away? Like he's going to have to make those decisions for 4 quarters against Tampa Bay on Sunday. So I'm interested to see how that goes. The other thing just on the sort of the good side, stick to that for a second. We talked about, it was last week where we did the whole man coverage thing, right? And like how they were playing man coverage. I don't know if that was last week or 2 weeks ago. I was really excited about how they played man coverage in this game. I thought that they played the style of coverage I liked a lot more. And I'm talking mostly between the 20s. We'll get to the red zone stuff. But the between the 20s stuff specifically, they shadowed receivers, strictly shadowed receivers. Gonzalez on Drake London, Carlton Davis had Darnell Mooney, and Marcus Jones had Bijan when Bijan flexed out, which I thought was a really well done game planned wrinkle. So every time Bijan was flexed out outside the formation, out of the backfield, he got Marcus Jones.
They treated him like a receiver,
which I thought was really good.
Yep.
That's if you're going to play a lot of man coverage, that's how you have to do it. You cannot allow your opponent to put their third receiver on Christian Gonzalez because Christian Gonzalez is just glued to the boundary the entire game. You have to shadow and travel with the receivers. The other thing that I thought they did more of in this game was putting robber or low hole help. They really played a lot of cover one hole, not true robber. But they had Christian Ellis, it was, or Spillane sometimes, just in that first window, that first level window, right at like the 5 or 6 yard or so down the field. So that just allows these corners, like if they run a shallow, if they run a slant, like anything like that, that's all going to be helped. That's going to be leveraged by that defender. So now you have the low hole help from the first level, and then you have the post safety help over the top. So now you have support in the middle of the field for the man coverage defenders. So it's all a long-winded way of saying in this game, Michael Penix, between the 20s, and we'll get to the red zone stuff, between the 20s, he was 1 for 7 against man coverage in this game. He had one completion. It was after the Gonzalez injury. It was a downfield throw to Drake London where he broke the pocket and extended the play. Other than that, the Patriots completely shut down Atlanta in man coverage. That's what this defense needs to do more of. That's where they need to live. That's where that needs to be their backbone of their coverage. So I was really excited by the Marcus Jones Bijan wrinkle. I thought was really good. It was great to see Christian Gonzalez just go toe-to-toe with Drake London for 3 quarters. Unfortunately, it wasn't the full 4, but we saw it for 3. And I thought until that 40-yard bomb, Christian Gonzalez was winning the matchup with Drake London. So I really like to see that. But this is more like it. Like if they play man coverage like this, their pass defense is going to get better. And it was exciting to see that.
Yeah, it continuing to grow in that regard. And we can get to the red zone stuff, but
that's in the crap that gets you beat.
Okay.
Yeah, the red zone stuff's coming. So the other good thing I had from this game was just Pop Douglas. I think that he's sort of found his way here and his niche in this offense, and it's not exactly what we thought it was.
Well, what was I screaming all summer? Run him vertically.
Yeah, so, okay, you can take a victory lap there.
Right.
He's not running the Welker Edelman slot role.
Chris Hogan.
Deion Branch?
Well, I said a cross between Hogan and Amendola in the summer.
Deion Branch.
All right.
I like Deion Branch comp. So right now he is has a career high in ADOT, average depth of target down the field, 10.2. He's basically a speed slot at this point. Like he's not the shifty jitterbug slot like we've seen in the past in McDaniel's offense. They have him as a speed slot, running more vertical routes down the field, and it's working. Now, we can figure out the open field stuff. He could maybe stay on his feet.
So who was like that? Remember, Cordero Patterson was like the opposite of that. Cordero Patterson would like stumble through his routes, and the second he got the ball in his hands, he was, Dante Hall on a punt return.
Yeah.
But it was really weird so Pop's the opposite. Like he runs these great routes, and then the second the ball's in his hands, he kind of loses it. But he's still making guys miss, even when he's stumbling.
Yeah, so this has been a really good role for him. He's kind of, like I said, he's kind of found his niche. And, he was great in this game. The 58-yarder is a big-time explosive play. The wheel route touchdown was really, really well designed by Josh McDaniels, but it was also, he won his matchup. He got the matchup, and he won it. This is his role. This is the way that he should be used. It reminds me a lot more of how he was used at Liberty in college. Like he was more of a downfield speed slot at Liberty. So this is the other thing I would say too, just from a McDaniels standpoint. This is how McDaniels was using Trey Tucker in Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's not totally a departure from Josh in terms of some of the other guys that he's had. It's just not the old school Patriots slot that we kind of all anticipated. But this is, a new version of it, and it's working out for him. So kudos to Pop. I know, he lost his uncle and played the game anyways. And that was a cool story too. Obviously bad story, but like good for him. Yeah. And all that. But I think that, this is a nice little niche that he's found with these vertical routes and these deep targets, deep crossers, post corners, things like that. It's been cool to watch.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the bads here. We already did the Drake Maye sack thing. I'm not gonna, keep going with that. I think sticking with the offense. There are some cracks in the foundation here on the offensive line that are starting to show a little bit. Yeah. None of them involve your rookie left tackle though, so you can have that, right? That's a positive. I thought he was good again in this game. Honestly, for like 3 quarters, I thought he was kind of dominant in this game. Will Campbell, I thought he was really good.
The block he had on it was the Terrell Jennings touchdown one, right? Where
he was really good in this game. Not great competition. James Pierce and those not great.
No, it was first-round picks.
I know, but like those guys are not established players.
But you want the top-end first-round pick to look much better than the bottom-end first-round pick.
Fair enough.
He did.
Yeah, he was good. He was really good. But the issues that we're having, and the Patriots are having, I should say, that we are going to talk about all off season. The Patriots are trending towards squarely being in the guard market this off season. I think Onwenu, I know his PFF grades have been good. I don't care. Like I watched the tape myself, and I'm telling you,
Good for you.
I have not been a huge fan of Onwenu's game all year long. Jared Wilson, we can say it's that he's not a guard. I think that's probably a fair, sort of just way to look at it.
They said in the spring they view him as a center long term.
He's just with Wilson. I think that there are flashes in pass pro that are really, really good. He's just not strong enough to play guard, and so he gets into these power, engagements, and he's base blocking where he's 1-on-1 in the run game, and he just can't move anybody. He's just not strong enough to play that position. Onwenu, expensive contract, not really playing up to that standard right now. I wonder about his long-term standing here. Well, again, long story short, they're going to need a guard in 2026. They're going to need to either draft one, sign one, whatever.
Are we bringing back Soto?
We might be.
Are we Sotoing the guards?
I don't know. I would rather not draft one again. Like,
Well, it doesn't mean first round. Oh, it did mean first round that one time. We'll alter it.
They're going to need at least one guard, because if you want to give Onwenu some leash and let him continue in this regime, in this system, in this whatever, this program, then fine. But Jared Wilson's not a long-term answer, I don't think, at left guard. And I don't know if Onwenu is here for long.
Get ready to learn Jennings Dunker, buddy.
That's the kid from North Dakota State or Iowa, whatever.
But he's got red hair, mullet. He plays tackle now, but he might be guard at the next level. Either way, he's one of the meanest linemen I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. So he a little bit of cracks in the O-line foundation. The other last thing here, some of the zone stuff is starting to bother me, and I guess this is just the time that I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to die on this hill about the pass rush. I understand that the Patriots have concerns in terms of depth at edge rusher. But when we look at the frontline guys that are playing, the problem to me with the Patriots pass defense right now is not the pass rush. The problem is that whenever the pass rush starts to win, and I pulled clips this morning, I have like 10 of them that I could show you of guys winning up front on the line of scrimmage, but the ball is coming out so quickly because there's open receivers, mostly against like off coverage zone, where there's just too much space underneath the zone or too much space on the outside where they're giving them cushion. And there's just nothing the pass rush can do. Like Milton Williams just wins right up the middle on a swim move and the ball's out. Like, they win. They're trying to run a game or run a stunt or something like that. And it's coming open, it's coming free. The wrap is coming free, but the ball's out. And right now they are not playing tight enough coverage. Like sacks, they're 18th in the league in sacks. Everybody wants them to get more sacks. Sacks is a team stat. Sacks is not a pass rush stat exclusively. Sacks is you need to get the quarterback to hold the football. If you're giving first read open throws to quarterbacks in the NFL, you're not going to be a good sack defense. You're not going to accumulate sacks. So when I look at it on film, I think the bigger concern with their pass rush is that they need to start having tighter coverage, which is why I'm so excited about the man coverage things that I saw from this game, because they need to improve their coverage so that they can get the quarterback to hold the football. So some of this pressure that they are accumulating can start turning into impactful pressure.
Yep.
So they got 45% pressure rate on Michael Penix in this game. And a lot of people that watched the game came out of the game feeling like there was no pass rush. But the problem is that every single time somebody won up front, the ball was out of Penix's hands before they could get home. So if you can you got to marry it all together. It's 11 people. It's not just about one thing.
And it also helped that there were times that Drake London wasn't open and Penix still threw him the ball.
Obviously
Penix and London get some credit in that too.
The 40-yard bomb is definitely one of those instances. Yeah. But there's London caught a couple in this game where Milton Williams won up front, and London Gonzo's just bailing like on cover 3 or quarters, and there's like 8 yards of cushion, and London just turns around and catches the ball. And that's not a pass rush problem. Like, that's not the pass rush's fault that the ball came out in 2 seconds.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about that. So I'm going to die on this hill. I just watch the tape. Like, these guys up front will win. You know, when they got the Chazon sack in the opening drive, if you watch that play, it's because they covered the initial read. They ran a little bit of a disguised zone. They covered Penix's eyes. Mike Vrabel broke it down on Patriots.com with Zoe. Like, they cover the initial read. It gets Penix to hold the ball, and the pocket collapses, and they sacked him. So he said it in the past, and I'll echo what he said with Vrabel. The sack stuff, it's on the coverage to get the quarterback to hold the football. You need to get the quarterback off his first read. That's on the coverage, both the call and the players executing the coverage. Once the quarterback holds the ball and gets off the first read, now it becomes about the pass rush getting home. And I think too often with this Patriots defense, you're seeing quarterbacks, NFL quarterbacks, hitting the top of the drop, first read is open, ball is out. And that's just not going to be impactful. Like, that's not going to be good pass defense. So I'm going to die on the hill. It's not the pass rush, it's the coverage. They need to be better in coverage. Hopefully we saw, some good, man coverage stuff in this game against the Falcons. Hopefully that carries over and they can have better coverage. Really quickly, before we take a quick break, just the stuff that gets you beat. The Drake Maye strip sack, you just can't have it. That is crap that gets you beat. The game was over. They're driving. They have the ball at the 50-yard line. They're going in for more points, up 14 points, and then they're going to receive the second half kickoff. So they had the chance to bury the Falcons with double score there. Even if you only get 10 points out of the double score, we're not talking about a 20-point lead, 24-point lead with a quarter and a half to play. You can't have that sack fumble. You just can't. So that was a stuff that gets you beat this week. And the other one that I wanted to dissect a little bit was the red zone. And this one, I think you have fair gripes in terms of the coaching and the game plan and all that kind of stuff. I give the Falcons a lot of credit. They attacked the rules of the Patriots in the red zone to get Marcus Jones on Drake London a couple of times. But if you're the Patriots, you have to make sure that doesn't happen.
After the first time, it's a good wrinkle by Atlanta. Those guys get paid too, but they got to be more aware of it the second time coming back.
So the first time they, the Patriots were going to switch it. They were in a banjo or switch in a 2x2, right? And they motion London into the formation. So basically what they're trying to do is Marcus Jones is going to take whoever runs into the middle of the field, and Christian Gonzalez is going to take whoever runs out. And they actually have Drake London. This is a classic switch, banjo, whatever you want to call it, beater. They have Drake London, his first 2 steps are inside. Like he's going to run a slant, and then he runs out on the fade. So it's kind of like a double move. So when he runs that little inside, stem to the inside, that's automatically going to have Marcus Jones declare as the primary defender. Like he's got to take the inside there.
Right.
And so that when London goes back out to the fade, he's stuck on Drake London on the fade. The second one was a bunch. It was a 3-receiver bunch. And they knew that if they put Drake London in the point, that Marcus Jones takes the point. And so they put Drake London on the line of scrimmage. The Patriots are probably anticipating him being off the line of scrimmage. He was on the line of scrimmage, and he gets matched up against Marcus Jones again. So they got beat in the chess match there on the goal line 3 times for touchdowns. Their red zone defense now, Alex, I know this stat is going around. They are dead last in the league in the red zone on defense. They're giving up a touchdown 75% of the time in the red zone.
It's too much.
The other little thing here too with the red zone, and then we got to take a break. They're busting coverages like crazy in the red zone, and I don't really know what the reason for it is, but it's happened 2 weeks in a row, and it's starting to kind of become a theme. Last week, they busted the Fannin touchdown, just wide open touchdown. This week, they busted a flat. They didn't have anybody in the flat in the zone.
That was the Bijan one?
Yeah, the 12-yarder to Bijan, which then sets you up on the 1-yard line, first and goal from the 1. Once you get inside the 5-yard line in the NFL, you score 86% of the time. So, it's kind of over at that point once you have first and goal from the 1. So in order to improve as a red zone defense, you need to be better. They break the red zone into 3 pieces. You have the high red zone, the low red zone, and then goal line. You need to keep them from goal line. Like, you have to keep them in the high or the low red zone and then get them to kick field goals from those areas of the field. So right now, the Patriots, in my mind, a big part of their red zone struggles are that they're letting teams get the ball all the way down to like the 1 yard line too much.
Right.
And then you're just not going to stop them from there. So that's the red zone stuff. I thought those were the 2 things that got you beat. That's the Falcons. We're going to take your calls, your emails. We're going to talk a little bit about this Bucs game coming up right here after the break.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Catch 22. Catch 22.
All right, we are back, and I'm going to do the Toyota read. Did I say that? Did I say that correctly? Because everybody gets on my case for saying Toyota wrong. So I'm just going to keep saying it like that. I'm going to blame it on New England. I think it's a New England thing to say it like it's it's a D. Okay. Hey, Patriots fans, you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV? Go to Buy a Toyota. See, I did it again. It's Toyota's official website for deals, the official vehicles of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go places. Was that better? Was that good?
I think it's pronounced Toyota.
Is everybody happy now?
Sure.
And Sunday night's game got you up late. Sleep better and save big with the mattress-based combo from Bob's Discount Furniture. When you bundle and save at Bob's, you can get a top-rated Copper Sport hybrid mattress packed with pressure relief and cooling copper threads to help you chill out after the fourth quarter. Plus, an adjustable base made for sitting up to watch the last play for $100 less than buying them separately. So stop in and stock up at Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots. When it's a new read and I've never read it before and I'm reading it for the first time on the air, it's always a little bit of an adventure.
That's
I know. I gotta look
hosting
at it.
101. You never
man.
should
Come
read
on.
something for the first time live on the air.
I know. You're right.
Never should do that.
You're right. It's a good lesson.
I'm like uncomfortable that you just said that.
You were at Curry College last night giving lessons. You should have given that lesson.
We didn't get to that.
You didn't get, maybe next week.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. It was a one-off. They invited me to. Thanks to Curry College, Jimmy Young and Curry College for having me though.
My father is a proud Curry College alum.
There were some. We didn't get to Catch-22. There's some Patriots Unfiltered fans in that class.
Good. I like that.
They said they enjoyed when the other guys get you all worked up.
Oh, it's not that hard to do.
Yeah, I know.
It's not that hard to do. Just come after me.
The kids love it.
It's like two things. Like one is, when you make it about the stats, right? Like I'll say a stat and then it becomes a referendum on the stat. Like, it's not the point. I'm just trying to use some supporting evidence to back up my point. Like, we don't have to, if I bring up like a PFF grade or something, we don't have to then spend 10 minutes discussing whether or not PFF is like a valid source of information, right? Like, that's the part that gets me fired up. That's it.
I just got you worked up on the concept of you getting worked up.
Yeah, because it's just, I've been thinking about this a little bit and it needed to come out. All right. Patty is in Agawam. What's up, Patty?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
So, Alex, you know me, it's never too early to talk about draft, and especially since they didn't make a move. I'm not upset that they didn't make a move. I was a little bit surprised because I thought that they would actually look for some, excuse me, at least some help along the edge, even if it was a depth guy. But I want to throw out a couple names at you and see if you have any opinions on them yet. The first guy is David Bailey out of Texas Tech, who they might be out of position to draft, but the other guy I really like coming out is Quincy Rhodes Jr. He's an edge guy from Arkansas. You think he's kind of a fit? I think Bailey's a fit in any scheme. I'll take that up the air. But the other thing I wanted to ask you guys is if Kyle Williams doesn't get going this week, is it going to happen this year? Because Booty's probably not going to be playing this week, maybe not even next week against the Jets. Realistically, do you think he just needs like one good catch to get himself going? And I'll take those off here, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, Patty, thanks for the call. It's a good question about Kyle Williams. I don't know if you have a take on those draft guys.
David Bailey is, and he's right. Like, Bailey's having an unbelievable season at Texas Tech, and the Patriots are having a great season, so they may end up like passing each other. But what's the Mike Vrabel edge rusher? Like 6'2", 250. Sure. All about the first step, get off, right? Like, that's like David Bailey is to a T when people talk about what Mike Vrabel's looking for on the edge. And there's other good edge rushers in the class too. But in terms of like the scheme specific fit, he was the consensus pick for the Patriots on the mock draft database for a few weeks there. We'll see. Here's the thing. This is a really good edge class. This is a really, really good edge class. And frankly, defensive line too is part of that. It's a good pass rusher class. So you're not going to have, there might be 10 edge guys, and I'm kind of rounding here, but there might be 10 edge guys that are top 25 players in the class. You're going to have 10 edge guys go in the top 25 because the needs just aren't dictated that way. Somebody's going to have to fall. Somebody's going to go below where they should because there's just so much talent at the position. This has happened with, what was the position last year this happened with that we talked about?
That got pushed down because of the talent.
Or we've talked about this before with different positions. Wide receiver a couple years ago it happened.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get pushed down, whether it's Bailey, whether it's somebody else. Like we'll get to that. But David Bailey is absolutely a name Patriots fans should know.
Okay. All right. With Kyle Williams, so just we can break down his target a little bit too, and then just talk about a big picture as well. So on the target, my interpretation of it was that he ran a 5-step route when he was supposed to run a 3-step route. And that's just based off of the way that it looked earlier in the game. And then also just, it was mirrored, like it was the same route Diggs was running on the inside, and Diggs ran it 1-2 and open, and Kyle Williams ran it 1-2-3-4 and open. So he ran it on the 5th step instead of the 3-step. So that when that happens, that's why the ball gets thrown behind you, is because you're running the wrong route. So with him, what I'm seeing is details. And this is good. And I also would just say, like, this is not like a Josh McDaniels option route thing, right? Like, this is not like it's too complex for young receivers. Like, so don't make it about that. This is a young receiver that needs to be a little bit sharper on his details. Pop Douglas had the same problem for a couple of years there as well. So it takes time. And when you're throwing, with timing, you're throwing quick game, you're throwing things like that, like it can really make it look bad when you're not synced up with the quarterback and the drop of the quarterback. So that's what I'm seeing with Kyle Williams. Now, I think there is opportunities for him to produce on verticals. Like, I still think that if you got him isolated on the backside and he ran a go route, like, he would still be able to win on the go route. And those routes are obviously a lot simpler than trying to, time up a route in the quick game or something like that. So I'm not seeing like no separation on tape from Kyle Williams or anything like that. His issues seem to be more mental than they are physical at the moment, so it might just take some time. I don't know what they're going to get out of him this year, but he's going to get some opportunities here with Kayshon Boutte, dealing with that hamstring. So we'll see. But I see enough separation with Kyle Williams. Like, I think the problem when you look at a lot of other receivers with the Patriots in the past that have busted, second, third round guys, like Jalen Polk couldn't get open.
Right.
So like that right then and there just kind of makes it an uphill battle. When you can't separate in this league, it makes it an uphill battle. I think with Tyquan, he couldn't stay healthy. That was obviously a big part of it. But with Tyquan, I don't know if he ever truly played with a quarterback that could unlock the vertical speed, because he's really like a downfield vertical threat.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a guy that separates in the first 10 to 15 yards. He's a guy that's separating 35, 40 yards down the field. So when you play with quarterbacks that don't really thrive in that sort of thing, Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones, like, he's not really going to thrive with that quarterback. He goes to Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes can put the ball on him down there and he's having more success. Maybe Tyquan would have had a little bit more success with Drake Maye. Probably not. He probably needed to change the scenery. But to me, that was what it was with Tyquan. So at least with Kyle Williams, I'm seeing him separate at times. He's just got to get on the same page with the offense and with the quarterback. So I don't know which way you would rather. Like, I would rather that than watching the tape and saying this guy can't get off coverage, like Jalen Polk. But as of right now, it doesn't really matter which way he's not producing. So whichever way it is, whatever way you kind of shake it out to be, he's not producing. Do you have any takes on Kyle Williams?
I mean, I think it'll help. And Vrabel talked about this the other day. He's going to just focus. I would think he's just going to focus on the X receiver position now, which is going to help because he's been all over the place.
Yeah.
He didn't work a lot with Drake in the summer.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine he's worked with him a lot behind the scenes here as the season started because they're getting ready for games. He hasn't had a big role. He's only played 20% of their offensive snaps this year. And that number is elevated by a significant role after Boutte got hurt this week. So I think it will help him being able to focus on one position. I think it will help him getting to work with Drake Maye this week because their chemistry is just not there right now. And maybe it clicks, maybe it doesn't. We will see. I'm not super worried about his lack of production because it's just been a lack of opportunity. And it's not a case where they're not playing him. Sometimes we talk about it, well, this guy can't get on the field, and that's not a good set. But like, there's legitimate reason for him to not get on the field. The guys ahead of him are playing well.
Yeah.
So now we'll see what he can do that he has a bigger opportunity.
Yeah. I think a lot of it, like I said, especially those first and second level routes. Like, I think he runs a great vertical routes, and he's going to eventually, I really believe he will eventually pop one. Like, I think he's going to get behind a defender at some point, and Drake Maye will find him on a go route or something like that. But these first and second level routes take a lot more detail of, the other thing too, I think this was last week against Cleveland, when they targeted him on that like 7-stop, the route along the sideline. I think it was the Cleveland game. I don't know. They're all blending together, but like, he just takes too long to get into the route. And in college, that's okay because the quarterbacks have all day back there to kind of pat the ball and wait for the receiver to get open. But like, he does, like, he runs off the line and he gives like a little fake. Then he gets to the top of the route. He gives another little fake, and then he cuts back. Right. And by the time all this happens, it's too late. Right. It's just too late for the quarterback. So these are all the little details that when you run first and second level routes in the league, like, you have to be sharp on in order to get these targets. So I do think that can be developed. And I do think that they have the right coaching now that hopefully they can develop in those areas, and we'll see. All right. Back to the phones. Sean is in Vancouver. What's up, Sean?
I'm very happy that the Patriots kept the 21st century streak alive of not losing to the Falcons. The game was closer than it should have been. So this week, it's going to be their toughest matchup against the Bucs since the Bills. It's a tough one. You can't turn the ball over, and make big mistakes, or they're going to lose. But I'm excited. I'm going to be there. Evan, are you going to be at the rally at Sunset Rodeo at 5 on Saturday?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what time we're getting in as of right now, but there's a rally. Where is it at?
Sunset Rodeo. It's 302 Howard Street, like close to downtown.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if we're there in time, the boss man might be there for sure. But if we're there on time, I would not mind stopping by. I've heard that it's going to be quite the Patriots party in Tampa this weekend. A lot of Patriots fans buying tickets for this game and making this like their road trip of the season type of thing. So I'm glad that you're going, Sean. That'll be cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun. All right, I'll take it off. Thanks.
All right, sounds good. Maybe I'll see you there. Yeah, it's been for weeks now. I've been hearing a lot about how many Patriots fans are going to be in Tampa for this game. So I'm actually interested to see how well they travel, because it's a good Bucs team. Like, they're not going to play
it's a real test.
The 1-7 Titans, right? Where the Patriots fans take over the stadium against a bad team. This is a legitimate playoff contender. Let's talk a little bit about the Bucs. That's a good segue. So just really quickly, this is from Rick Stroud, who's one of their beat writers for the Tampa Bay Times. It sounds like Chris Godwin and Bucky Irving are still a little ways away and aren't going to play in this game. He's saying not expected to practice today. Both are still in the rehab phase. So if you're in the rehab phase on a Wednesday before the game, I don't think you're not probably going to play. So that's sort of been the story for the Bucs offensively. They've lost Evans, they've lost Godwin, they've lost Irving, they lost Godecki, their right tackle, is on injured reserve. He was designated to return, but we know how that works. There's a 3-week ramp-up period, and I don't know if that's necessarily going to, he's going to play this week. It might be a little bit too soon still. So they did just have their bye week. They're coming off the bye, so hopefully, for their sake, at least maybe they're going to get a little bit healthier coming out of this bye. But basically, the first 6 weeks of the season for Baker, starting with their offense, Baker is an MVP candidate for the first 6 weeks of the season. He's playing great, like 12-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He has like all these insane scrambles on film where he's just running guys over and things like that. So he was playing a really high level for the first 6 weeks of the season. Then their injuries really started to pile up, especially at receiver with those veteran guys. So they're basically throwing to Egbuka, who's a great young rookie, really impressive guy to watch this week. My guy Tez Johnson is like kind of their Pop Douglas, their like gadget player. Sterling Shepard is their third receiver. I probably found out this week that Sterling Shepard was still in the league. So he's their third receiver. And then K. Dotton has been like a decent, kind of Hunter Henry-ish tight end, like a train moving tight end.
We want to talk about still in the league. Ryan Miller's still in the league too. Okay.
So that's sort of their skill group right now around Baker Mayfield. That is not Evans, Godwin, and Buka, right? And Bucky Irving. So when you look at the stats, Baker is only completing like 56% of his passes over the last 2 weeks. He really struggled in that game against Detroit, missed a lot of open throws in that game against the Lions. But my guess is in that game, he's throwing to guys he has never really thrown to before. It's a bunch of fresh faces. He didn't seem too confident throwing the ball. I thought he was hesitant holding the football a little bit. So their offense is reeling a little bit here over the last couple of weeks. Defensively, they're fantastic. They've got a great defense, a great secondary, really good group. Antoine Winfield's one of my favorite players in the league. Elite ball hawking safety. Jamal Dean's playing really well for them. Jacob Parrish in the slot is a player that I really liked in the draft that I thought maybe the Patriots would be interested in. Vita Vea up front. Yaya Diaby off the edge. They have some really good players, and they have a really good scheme with Todd Bowles. But let's stick with the offense, just your interpretation of Baker's season and what kind of worries you about this Bucs offense.
Definitely big play threats all over the field. I thought Baker, he's in the MVP chase. It kills him that he's losing all these guys. He's losing Evans. He's losing Godwin. And that's obviously going to change things, but he's a baller, and he's going to take a step back less than I think some other guys would when things get tough. He's shown he can elevate the people around him. So he's a real threat. He's somebody you have to be aware of at all times. He can make, and he's underrated too. He can make plays with his legs. He doesn't do it a lot, and they're not really going to call design runs, but he'll pick up a first down or two over the course of the game on a scramble if you let him. And Michael Penix, who is a good runner but doesn't run a lot, he got the Patriots in that way a couple times last week too. So
good point. Yep.
I think you attack, maybe you try to find areas where they're banged up and you attack that. I don't necessarily know how you attack banged up wide receivers. Maybe that's just more of the blitz, knowing guys won't get open as quick. Banged up offensive line, structure pressure in that way. But Baker Mayfield's the real deal. Like, Baker Mayfield is going to be the best quarterback they've faced since Josh. So you got to come ready for him.
Yeah, he's a really good player. Obviously been 3 years there now in Tampa Bay, and he's had 3 different offensive coordinators because they keep getting head coaching jobs because he's so good. So his career revival has gotten Dave Canales and Liam Cohen head coaching jobs as his play caller in one year too. Like, Liam Cohen was his play caller for 1 year and landed the Jaguars head coaching job just off of that. So that tells you a lot about Baker Mayfield. I think that you mentioned it a little bit there with the receivers. One of the things that's giving them trouble is man coverage because they just haven't had the health at receiver, to be able to beat man consistently and separate consistently and time it up and all that kind of stuff. So this game is a little similar, statistically at least, to Penix and the Falcons in that, Baker's 31st in the league in APA against man coverage. He's only averaging like 4.5 yards per attempt right now against man-to-man. A lot of that to me is not having Godwin and Evans and not having guys that he trusts that can separate against man-to-man coverage. So you see those, kind of cracks in the foundation because of that. It's another quarterback, and now I trust Baker more because he's better and he's more experienced, but it's another quarterback that likes to throw the ball vertically and outside the numbers. He's not a big thrower in the middle of the field either. So that could also be why the man coverage hasn't been great, because I'll keep saying it, to beat man coverage, you throw slants, you throw crossing routes, you throw digs, you throw stuff into the middle of the field. So if you're not willing to throw those routes and you're only going to throw outs and corners and verticals and stuff like that, that's into the leverage of the man coverage defender. So you're throwing it right into the defense. So I have a little bit more faith in Baker Mayfield to layer throws into the middle of the field if they're open, because he's a more experienced and a better quarterback than Michael Penix. But it's still not an offense that really lives in the middle of the field. It's not necessarily what they do. I think Gonzo shadows of Buka, assuming Gonzo's healthy, which he indicated he was at the end of the game last week. Gonzo shadows of Buka. Tez Johnson and Marcus Jones seems like a decent matchup for the Patriots. Carlton Davis will probably be the boundary and take Sterling Shepard. And then Cade Otton is kind of the one guy. Now, Cade Otton's not an explosive tight end, but he's crafty. He reminds me a lot of Hunter Henry. Like, he's crafty. He's good at the top of the route. He can kind of bump you off and, attack leverage and that whole sort of thing. So last week it was a lot of Craig Woodson on Kyle Pitts, and to Woodson's credit, he did a decent job, I thought, on Kyle Pitts. So maybe those are your matchups. Gonzo against Egbuka, Tez Johnson and Marcus Jones, Sterling Shepard, Carlton Davis, and then Woodson on Otton. So Rashad White out of the backfield can do some things. As a pass catcher. I
thought they did a pretty good job on Bijan last week.
They did.
And they should be able to replicate that. And that's not to say that Rashad White is Bijan, but I thought they had a good plan for the running back last week.
It was this is in my mind, it's kind of just a little bit of a better version of the Falcons in terms of the way they run their offense.
Yeah, I could see that.
Not their run game necessarily. They're more of a downhill run team than Atlanta is all the stretch runs. But in terms of their pass game, it's really similar. They'll do a lot of, trips and bunches. They run a lot of 3-by-1 with 3 receivers to one side of the formation. And that is another thing I would just highlight in terms of the chess match. The Patriots struggled a little bit last week with sorting out bunches by Atlanta, especially down in the red zone. So I think the Falcons, the Bucs will come in and test that this week. So they do a lot of that kind of stuff. But I'm looking forward to Gonzo against Egbuka. I think that's a kind of like when he faced Marvin Harrison last year as a rookie. That's going to be a fun matchup. He's a really good player. Moving over to the defense, the Patriots offense against the Bucs defense. Todd Bowles, is going to put Drake Maye in a blender, or he's at least going to try. I don't know if he's going to succeed, but he's going to try. And he is a just maniacal blitzer. This guy comes after quarterbacks. They're only 7th in the league in blitz rate, but it feels higher because of all the simulated pressure that they run, where they're going to show blitz and then kind of back out of it, which is basically it's the idea of it is still kind of the same. They run a lot of blitz. They're 4th in the league right now in team pressure rate. The Patriots have had some issues the last couple of weeks with pressure, both up front and with the quarterback. So this is another one of those defenses that is going to spin the dial. They're going to disguise a lot on the back end. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and the Patriots are going to have to manage that. So it's a fun defense to watch on film. They really mix it up. You look at their coverages, like there's not a ton of tendency with their coverages. It's a kind of everything across the board. They're kind of cover all their grounds there, so they mix it up quite a bit. And they're going to come after Drake. The number one thing I look at with Bowles' blitz package, he loves those mug fronts. So mug fronts, you're just going to put a linebacker in each A gap, and he's going to stand up. And then you can just play this game of cat and mouse. Is he dropping? Is he rushing? They'll drop one, they'll rush one, they'll drop both, they'll rush both. Like they'll do all these different sort of permutations out of those fronts, and you have to, they'll play man, they'll play zone. You kind of have to decipher, what they're going to do. So this is a big, where are your hots? How much time do I have in the pocket? How are they in man or are they in zone? Like this is a big mental test for this Patriots offense.
Yeah.
And I think the difference between this and maybe some of the last couple of defenses that they've faced is that those defenses were system defenses where they sat in a lot of the same coverages, but they just played those coverages really, really well. Whereas this is a true, you don't know what you're going to get, spin the dial kind of defense with Tampa Bay. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes because it can go one of two ways. Either the quarterback goes into the blender or he sees the blitzes coming and there's open receivers all over the field.
Well, so I think it's a big get to go back to what we talked about from the Falcons game. Got to get the ball out quick. That is a massive, massive point of emphasis this week. And we'll see. He's done a very good job. Like we'll talk about something one week. Oh, Drake Maye struggled with this. And then he comes back the next week and excels at it.
Right.
Big week to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that that's a good point. I'm really looking forward. That's kind of the number one thing that I am looking for in this game is, does Drake Maye take the coaching of some of the different things that he missed in the game that led to sacks? Can he take that coaching and then correct it the next week? Because he's been pretty good about that. I would say most of the season and most of his career about correcting mistakes and going back and forth. A couple of other matchups that stand out to me. I don't know which ones stand out to you, but Vita Vea against Jared Wilson and Garrett Bradbury is a power and size mismatch in the inside. I don't even know if you try to run the ball inside on this defense. I don't know if you're going to have any luck doing that. And then also in the pass rush, if you're going to get one-on-ones, and Vea also likes to pick, like he likes to be the pick man on stunts a lot, and he'll just like ear hole guys. Like he'll just come through and he'll be the pick man and he'll just freaking give you a nice slap right in the ribs and just pop the guy off the guy he's trying to block. So he's a menace. Like he is an absolute monster. I love watching Vita Vea play. He's a fantastic player, but he's a game wrecker. Like he's someone that could truly, you might not be able to run the ball inside, and Drake Maye might not have much of a pocket to step into if Vita Vea is humming.
It's going to be a lot of good defensive tackle play in this game. The inside of Tampa's line's kind of been refigured a few times. They're dealing with injuries in Milton Williams and Christian Barmore. Can they do more to convert some of those pressures? They've been playing well. It's not necessarily their fault, but like, do we see them start to pile up some more sacks in this game? Yeah,
it's an interesting one. Any other things stand out to you about this Tampa team?
I think that's pretty much it for me.
Well, I'll be down there. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I think I wish this game was, I'm happy this game's at 1 for personal reasons because I always like 1 o'clock games, but I wish this game was a little bit more, 4 o'clock window, prime time window, because it does feel like two teams that are big time playoff teams, in both conferences. And it's kind of a bummer that the game is at 1 o'clock, but it is what it is. All right, let's get to some of these emails. I haven't done emails in a while.
I was going to say, we haven't done emails in a minute.
And we have a lot of emails. So let's get to some of these emails. That's a Kyle Williams question. We already kind of went over that a little bit. All right, do you want to answer this question about dead cap? Because Fred yesterday, he did do this. He was reading this email about dead cap and did not want to answer this question because it's, mundane and boring to talk about dead cap. So would you please mansplain to me how dead cap works? We always hear certain players are untradeable due to the size of the contracts and the dead cap. I understand that contracts have guaranteed money, but couldn't the selling team move all the money and contract to the buying team, thus eliminating any dead cap? No. So the dead cap on the contract is related to the guarantees and the base salary of the contract that is already in escrow headed towards the player. And that dead cap is the responsibility of the team that signed the contract. So you can't transfer dead cap. So that is going to be the Patriots' responsibility, for example, with Kyle Duggar. They have about $9 million in dead cap next year due to the Kyle Duggar trade. So you hear this a lot with A.J. Brown, who I don't have the exact number, but I think A.J. Brown has something like $50 million in dead cap if he's traded by the Eagles right now. On the flip side, the way that the Jets structured Sauce Gardner's extension, they don't have a ton of dead cap because they didn't pay him a lot of money up front. So they kind of left their options open there a little bit. So that's dead cap is the responsibility of the team that's trading the player. Always is.
$59 million in dead cap for A.J. Brown this year and $43 million from next year.
So that being said, there are instances where teams have had a lot of dead cap and traded the player anyway or cut the player anyway. Yeah. The Broncos did this with Russell Wilson a couple of years ago, and they just ate it. And they just managed the dead cap for that season, and they were able to figure it out. You know, it's not ideal, but they were able to figure it out.
What I think people get confused about with dead cap, I'll try to think of an example. That dead cap is not lost cap space in the sense that, okay, so Kyle Duggar, right? They have $9 million in dead cap. I don't know that number off the top of my head. I'm going to trust you there. But they had $9 million in dead cap on Kyle Duggar's contract. His original cap hit was 14.
Sure.
So the Patriots have a $9 million dead cap charge against him, but they still open up $5 million.
Right.
So they opened up some. You don't open up all of it, but you open up some. But some players, it is possible. A.J. Brown's like this. The dead cap can exceed the cap savings. So for it, because it can, if there's a bunch of details in the schedule and the contracts, but basically, right? So AJ Brown's cap hit, or AJ Brown's dead cap is $59 million. Because when you cut a player, sometimes the money's due when you cut him, so it moves money up. AJ Brown's dead cap number is $59 million. His cap hit, because the way the contract is structured, is only $17 million. So they would lose $42 million in cap space that they would otherwise have if they didn't trade A.J. Brown. So dead cap space is not necessarily cap space loss. You can open up money cutting a player that has dead cap space. You're just not going to open up it. Dead money is what you owe him regardless if he's on the roster or not. That's not the same as, I don't know the term for it, I guess cap savings is the difference between that player's cap hit and the money you owe him if you cut him.
Right. So basically, the dead cap is tied to the base salary that's guaranteed to the player, whereas the money you're talking about is per game roster bonuses, workout bonuses, incentive packages. Like if, he hits a certain amount of games or he makes a Pro Bowl or they make the playoffs or whatever. So all those different things are things that the player has to earn over the life of the contract by his play on the field. Right. So that's not guaranteed to him. So that's why when you cut a player like Kyle Duggar, he has X amount in dead cap, which is tied to his base salary.
Yeah.
But then he might have had some incentives or bonuses or whatever. That money falls off the cap.
Right.
It's just a dead cap that stays on the salary cap. So they'll have, some dead cap next year as a team in general. I think it's about 25 to 30 million. Now, again, that's not a deal breaker. Like,
it's a little high, but like every team has dead cap. Like,
but it doesn't mean that they're hamstrung against the cap and can't do anything. It's just tied.
I think they're supposed to have about 50 million.
Yeah. So it's just tied mostly to the fact that they've moved on from some holdovers that aren't fits. Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, players like that they signed to these extensions that ended up not being fits. So that was a very long answer, but I think it was very
I was
thorough.
getting nervous talking about that stuff. I know Miguel's the expert, but
Yeah.
you want to know who the Patriots are still paying this year, dead cap?
Sure.
So Duggar, Godshot, Peppers, Juju Smith-Schuster. They still have. Well, I guess this year doesn't matter. I should do next year because this year is kind of in the books. It's done.
Yeah.
They're dead money next year according to Over the Cap. Kyle Duggar's 12, a little over 12. Jabril Peppers is 3. Jalen Polk is 1.9. Kendrick Bourne's 1.4. And then these guys are all less than $1 million. Keon White, Lane Robinson, Javon Baker, Braden Swinson, City So.
Yeah. So it's not, again, this is not me saying that they now have an excuse to not spend any money next offseason. It's not anything close to that. It's just trying to explain, the nuances.
Some of these get fun. The other sports ones get funny. Like everybody knows about Bobby Bonilla, but the Red Sox still paying Manny. That's deferred money. That's
deferred
different.
money is maybe one of the most bananas thing in sports.
Well, in basketball, there is when they cut guys, they can prorate the dead cap hit.
Yeah.
So I think the Celtics are still paying Blake Griffin. I'm pretty sure the Celtics
they were
are still
paying KG for a while.
They were paying Demetrius Jackson for a while.
Yeah. All right. Next question here, more of a football question than a salary cap question.
Celtics are still paying Blake Griffin.
So they were paying KG until just a couple years ago.
Yeah, well, it's a cap hold. I don't know technically if that works, but he's on the books there.
So Brendan in Philly asks, did the Falcons solve Drake Maye with their defense? If so, is it something that we can expect other defenses to replicate? I don't think they solved Drake Maye necessarily. Now, to their credit, they got beat early on a couple of crossing routes, especially the big one to Pop.
Yeah.
And they called coverages moving forward where they adjusted nicely to some of those. And, I guess it depends on what exactly you interpret the call. I would interpret them as cut crosses. One cross is, typically what it's called, where basically you have a primary man coverage defender and he's going to run across the field with the crossing route. And once it declares as a crossing route, he's going to pass the crossing route off to a safety, and then he's going to fall off and he's going to replace the safety. So basically, there's a safety in the middle of the field. That guy overtakes the crossing route, the safety does, and then the corner becomes the new robber in the middle of the defense. The Patriots used to run this coverage all the time with Belichick. It was one of their staples. And so as the game wore on, especially after Pop hit the 58-yarder, they started calling these cut coverages where they were cutting the crossing routes. And the Patriots, I think, kind of thought they had him on the crossing routes, and it did kind of throw a wrench in their play calling and in their game plan. So tip of the cap to Atlanta for that. The interception to Hunter Henry was one of these coverages where Henry read it as single high because he had a one high safety in the middle of the field, but Drake Maye saw the defender cutting the crossing route sitting on the other side of the field, and he just wanted Henry to just look for the football and just settle right in between that open space. And they weren't on the same page, and Henry kept running and Drake threw it, and it was a pick. So I think that was more of a system breakdown than I would say it was a Drake Maye breakdown. I don't think that he specifically did anything that made me feel that oh no, this is now they have the book, on Drake Maye. It didn't feel like that. And more just felt like the Falcons, to their credit, kind of got a feel for it, and probably towards the end of the first half, and then adjusted and had some good calls.
I mean, they got to him a ton, and he felt sped up at points in that game. That's one of the best pass rushes in the league. Not every team is going to be able to, first of all, they send 5 a lot. Not every team is going to be able to send 5. Not every team is going to be able to send 5 with the personnel that that Atlanta has. Yeah, if the book on Drake Maye is being a very good defensive team, the book may be out.
Yeah.
I don't think there is anything schematically in there that I would call the book on Drake Maye.
So I think it's funny because
he plays worse against good defenses. Go figure.
That's a good point, because I understand that Atlanta has some probably fatal flaws.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure Raheem Morris is the right answer there.
All right, I wanted to get to this from the game.
Yeah.
What did you think of the punt? I meant to ask you this. I meant to text you this. What did the math say about the punt?
Punt. I remember looking this up in real time. Punt.
So I would have gone.
Yeah.
Because 1 first down, regardless of field position, you're not getting the ball back.
Right.
And, the way Drake London's playing, throw it up, maybe get a penalty, something like that, right?
Oh, I know what you're talking. Yeah, I kind of thought that in real time too. I'm with you. Because of just Drake London's just mossing everybody.
Right.
Like just
and
let him
it's
go.
also like they need one first down and the game's over. That's it.
Yeah.
I had one other weird thought on that. I'm curious what you think. I would argue, this is a little facetious, but not really. I would argue the Falcons would have been better off going to the line on 4th and 20 and spiking the ball than they were punting it.
Because it puts them on a short field.
Well,
so it's like basically you're arguing that even if you give up points there, it's still a one-score
well, they
game.
weren't close. The points were relevant. The Patriots would have needed one first down to get in field goal range. They were not in field goal range, right? They were just outside, or it would have been a long field goal. But there's some risk in kicking that field goal because if you don't get it, now the Falcons get the ball midfield. And
I thought you were going let them score. That's where I thought
no, spike. Because there was 2:03 on the clock.
Yeah.
The punt wiped out the 2-minute warning. The Falcons only had 2 timeouts.
Okay.
If you spike the ball, it's going to take less than 3 seconds, right? 2:01. Now there's a timeout after the Patriots' first play. If you get the stop, timeout after the second, timeout after the third. Now they either have to kick a really long field goal, and if they miss that, you're going to get the ball at midfield after using all 3 timeouts with more than a minute left. And all you need is to get in a field goal range. And if they get the first down, what does it matter if they get the first down from their own 20 versus your 40?
Yeah.
Right? The game's over.
Yeah.
I guess what it comes down to, we just do football philosophy on the show, and I thought this was an interesting one. What would you rather have in that moment? 40 yards or 40 seconds?
40 seconds.
So I would argue the Falcons would have been better off coming to the line because the clock was stopped. They wouldn't have had to rush it.
It's an interesting...
If they had gone to the line and just clocked the ball, would they have been better off than punting?
So the thing that I think is crazy about that, because I love it.
And
like,
it's not even...
I kind of...
People would say...
I think it's logical.
People would say, why not throw it away? Throw away might take more than 3 seconds. Like, you have to clock it.
Right.
So you're going to get like 2:01. You're gonna they're gonna get the ball back, but you get the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, no, that's I never even considered that as an option. That's a good one.
And now I'm not doing this all the time. If it's 4th and 10, you probably go for it. 4th and 20, where you either, to me, there's 2 options. You throw it deep, hoping Drake London makes insane play, or you cop a penalty. And remember, Christian Gonzalez is out of the game, so he's not out there. You either try to draw a penalty or Drake London goes off, or again, if that's me in the headset, I said that in real time to Matt Thaw. I said they should spike it. I think I said they should knee it, and then I realized a knee is longer than a spike, so I said they should clock it.
These are the times, and I guess you could just ask Vrabel, but like these are the times that I wish that we could do press conferences with Stretch, because like that's something that they would think about.
I know.
Like that's something
I would love to ask one of these guys, like, is there any real, like, I obviously have my line of thinking. I feel like I've put it out there relatively well.
Yeah.
But like, I would love to hear one of those guys thought, because all you need, one first down ends the game. Doesn't matter where they get it.
Right. But if I would bet that John Stretch has thought of that exact scenario, and they would do something like that.
Yeah.
Outside the box, like kind of, weird, but it's almost like Bill taking the intentional safety.
It's kind of similar to the intentional safety thing, where that's more about field position. This is sacrificing field position for clock. But so you're with me. You would, let's say you were coaching.
I'm with you that it's logical, but this is not my area. So I'm with you that it's logical, but I don't know if there's something
like hypothetically one day we're in charge of an NFL team, right? And you're going to be the coach, obviously.
Very hypothetical.
And I've said I'm the guy upstairs.
Yeah.
I go down to you, Evan, spike it. You calling it?
Sure.
Love it.
You're going to be upstairs like Stretch with the supercomputer.
Well, this was with Ernie Ad. We figured this out with Ernie.
Yeah, you're more Ernie because Stretch is he's doing the numbers. You're not going to do the numbers.
No, I'm just telling you to spike it on 4th and 20 down 1.
It's not a terrible idea. Now, I thought you were going let them score.
The Patriots?
But then if the Patriots score, because
wait, who let who score?
If the Falcons let the Patriots score.
No, you can't do that. They're just going to go down after the first down.
Well, they would, if they were smart, they would.
Well, and Hunter Henry did.
Yeah, I guess the Patriots are too smart for that. But my point was going to actually just be to further it.
Yeah.
So it was a 1-point game.
Yeah.
If the Patriots score a touchdown because they spike it and they get on a short field and they score a touchdown, now it's a 7-point game. So now the Patriots go for 2.
Maybe.
You got to go for 2. There's no difference between a 7 and an 8-point game.
When the kicker's missing extra points, there kind of is.
Go for 2. All right, let's take this last call, and then we got to wrap it up.
But I was proud of that one. Spike.
Yeah, that's good. Austin is in Manchester. What's up, Austin?
Hey, Evan. Hey, I saw you guys were talking earlier in the show about just the lack of presence we have on zone coverage. And obviously the Pats didn't make any moves at the trade deadline. What do you think they should be looking at for this next coming draft? Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Austin. Yeah, it's something that has been on my mind with their zone coverages. I just think there's too much space underneath a lot of their zones, and the ball's just coming out too quickly. Now, it's always a balance of, we're talking mostly when they play these zones that I'm referring to. It's first or second down. So and it's between the 20s, right? So you're talking a lot about it's kind of the bend don't break thing. And there's an element of that. Like when you play NFL offenses, especially NFL offenses, good ones that are explosive and can make big plays down the field. Like, do you really want to be 1st and 10 from the 25 and you're in press man across the board? I think there's a little bit of a misconception about how much man coverage teams really actually play. Like even the top teams in man coverage are still playing more zone than man. Like we're talking like the teams that lead the league in man coverage rate are usually around 40-45%. So it's not a league where teams are playing like 75% man. It's too hard.
Right.
It's too hard to do that. So when you talk about man coverage, it's mostly third down. A lot of teams their man coverage rate explodes on third down. And then it's also, situational type of stuff. So it's not a ton of early down man because these offenses are just too explosive and they're too good. Now, that being said, I would like to see the Patriots be a little bit tighter. We all don't like it, and I know it drives fans nuts when the corners outside are giving 8 yards of cushion and they just run like a 5-yard hitch and turn around and catch the ball, and it's a 10-yard completion on first down. It drives us all nuts. Now, that being said, the alternative is getting up on the line of scrimmage and getting beat over the top for a 50-yard play. So these are as a coach, like that's sort of the balance that you have to strike here. It's an interesting point. In terms of the draft, I mean, we got a long way to go. They're 7-2. I'm enjoying.
Give me a short list. Give me your big 3 needs right now.
I'm enjoying the ride.
Just off top of your head, big 3 needs right now.
Going spine of the defense, edge, linebacker, safety.
Nothing on offense.
I think that offensively, I'd supplement in free agency. I think you need a guard. I'm obviously always open to top wide receivers. Waddle, AJ Brown, guy like that is always on the call. Like you need another running back probably, but I don't think you need to draft or pay one use a big time asset, whether it's cap space or a high draft pick on a running back. So yeah, I would like to see Vrabel did it with Landry, like draft one of your types at edge rusher and let's see Mike Vrabel develop like a first round talent. That's
David Bailey
at edge rusher. Like that, I think that would be really good for this team. You'll see him out there with the pad on and he's, doing all sorts.
I think edge is on there, especially we'll see what happens with Chase on. I'd like an athletic linebacker. I do put whether it's getting a right tackle, as a long-term answer for
like a third or fourth round pick on offensive line would probably
they probably need one top 100 pick on the offensive line. Whether that's a guard, whether that's a right tackle. So would you be in on a linebacker like in the first round?
Like an off-ball linebacker?
Yeah. No.
But that's a value. That's a nerd thing. That's a value thing.
Well, but like that's going to solve a lot of problems for him. Because there are a couple, not a lot. There are a couple guys that I think are going to be in that conversation.
Well, you're going to have Spillane. And so you're really looking for that weak side, sideline to side, like the whole cliche thing.
Well, that's what this draft is. Like that's the linebackers in this draft.
So I would definitely, if we're talking about day 2, then absolutely. And it's been a minute since they've used a top 100 pick on like a pure off-ball linebacker. They did go kind of nerd on us in that respect, that they kind of devalued that position at the end with Belichick. So I could see it but if it's going to be first round, you have to draft it has to be like a Roquan Smith.
One more, where are you on? Because we talked about this like a couple weeks ago, using a high pick on a tight end. Maybe not first round, but like top 50 pick on a tight end.
I like it in the respect that I think that you need to keep adding for Drake Maye.
Yeah.
You can't get complacent and stop adding at the skill position. So I want to see them continue to add. But I don't know if this tight end class is going to have the guys that are worth picking, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got to wrap it up. Patriots Unfiltered is going to be on here in about 10 minutes at noon. We'll be back next week. It's going to be an abbreviated week, but we'll still be on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Of course, the Patriots play Thursday Night Football against the Jets next week. So we're going to be doing a show on Wednesday, but it's kind of like we're doing the show on Saturday, so it's going to be a little different.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting, but we'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Hey, this is Alex. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.